Hogwarts Legacy nails the specific fantasy of sneaking out of bed to explore a magical school at midnight. Tossing cabbages at dark wizards or chaining together unforgivable curses creates a wildly satisfying combat flow that feels fluid and aggressive. The facial animations during dialogue can be a bit stiff sometimes, but the sheer joy of seamlessly leaping off a balcony onto a flying broomstick easily makes up for it. Grabbing this at an 85% discount for under $9 is an absurd bargain for a 70-hour magical power fantasy. Sid Meier's Civilization 6 will ruin your sleep schedule. Watching a tiny ancient settlement snowball into a nuclear-armed superpower over a few hundred turns is dangerously addictive. Planning district layouts across the hexagonal map turns city management into a massive, satisfying puzzle where every tile matters. The AI can pull some baffling diplomatic moves late game, but outsmarting them is half the fun. Finding a strategy game this notoriously deep for under $6 makes it one of the absolute smartest impulse buys on the store right now. Star Wars Battlefront II survived a notoriously messy launch to quietly become one of the most cinematic multiplayer shooters on PC. The sheer scale of 40-player skirmishes on Hoth or Geonosis feels ripped straight out of a theater screen, complete with authentic blaster sounds and soaring orchestral music. Spawning in as Darth Vader and watching enemy squads actively scatter in terror never loses its novelty. Picking up a multiplayer experience with this much polish and community goodwill for $10 guarantees your weekend is sorted. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition refuses to age gracefully because the modding community absolutely refuses to let it. Even without touching the infinite catalog of mods, stumbling into a random cave to find a subterranean glowing mushroom forest remains entirely captivating. The combat might show its age with some clunky melee swings, but the sheer freedom to ignore the main quest and become a wandering cheese merchant is unparalleled. Considering a $10 bill buys you a game people are still actively playing a decade later, grabbing this is essentially mandatory. It Takes Two constantly throws completely new ideas at you and your co-op partner every 15 minutes. One chapter has you fighting a militarized squirrel faction on top of a flying airplane, and the next suddenly turns into a top-down dungeon crawler. The pacing is relentless, refusing to ever let a mechanic overstate its welcome. Finding someone to play with is the only real hurdle, but since only one person needs to own a copy, splitting a $12 asking price turns this into an absolute no-brainer for gaming couples. Half-Life Alyx completely changes what you'll expect from virtual reality. The physical panic of fumbling a magazine reload while a zombie stumbles towards you in a dark corridor simply cannot be replicated on a flat monitor. Using gravity gloves to flick a desperately needed health syringe across a room feels entirely natural within minutes. If you own a VR headset, ignoring this at $15 is borderline criminal. It remains the gold standard for atmospheric physical storytelling that justifies the hardware sitting on your desk. Doom Eternal plays like a hyper-violent rhythm game. Health and ammo aren't things you find on the ground, they're resources you rip directly out of demons using chainsaws and flamethrowers. The combat loop forces relentless aggression, demanding you push forward when your health is critically low, instead of hiding behind cover. It takes a solid hour to memorize the frantic weapon switching, but once it clicks, you feel like an untouchable god. Scoring one of the tightest shooters ever made for under $10 is an absolute steal of quality. Age of Empires 4 Anniversary Edition perfectly balances nostalgic base building with modern tactical depth. Learning the distinct quirks of each civilization, like the Mongols packing up their entire town to relocate across the map, keeps the multiplayer meta incredibly dynamic. The historical campaign documentaries seamlessly transition into actual gameplay missions, creating this weirdly educational but highly engaging loop. Picking up a competitive RTS with this much content for $14 easily offers hundreds of hours of tactical obsession. Age of Mythology Retold throws the classic formula of gathering wood and gold and literal divine intervention into the mix. There is something intensely satisfying about struggling in a ground battle only to summon a massive meteor shower to completely wipe out the enemy army. The pathfinding occasionally gets confused in tight choke points, but the sheer chaos of watching mythic beasts tear through standard infantry completely overshadows the minor jank. At $15, it completely justifies jumping back into a childhood favorite with a fresh coat of paint. Sea of Thieves operates purely on player-driven chaos. There are no stats or gear upgrades giving veterans an advantage. A Day 1 player has the exact same tools as a seasoned pirate legend, meaning every ship-to-ship cannon fight relies entirely on crew coordination and frantic bucket bailing. Solo play can be ruthlessly punishing when bigger galleons show up, but convincing two friends to manage the sails during a Kraken attack is pure comedy. For $14, you're buying a brilliantly unpredictable pirate sandbox generator. Train Sim World 6 scratches a very specific, methodical itch that high-octane games completely miss. Trying to smoothly brake a multi-ton freight train on an icy downhill gradient requires an incredible amount of focus and pre-planning. The sheer volume of dashboard switches and dials can initially feel like studying an aircraft manual, but mastering a difficult route provides a weirdly profound sense of competence. Slashing the entry price down to $10 makes this the perfect time to grab a relaxing, podcast-friendly time slink. Total War Rome 2 Emperor Edition lets you orchestrate ancient warfare on an awe-inspiring scale. Zooming the camera right down to the grass to watch thousands of individual soldiers clash while flanking cavalry kicks up dust in the background never gets old. Campaign politics can sometimes feel like managing a chaotic family reunion, but the tactical satisfaction of executing a perfect hammer and iron strike on the battlefield makes it worth it. Getting a massive historical sandbox for under $12 secures months of strategic campaigning. Dragon Ball Z FighterZ looks arguably better than the actual anime. Arc System Works managed to build a fighting game that perfectly captures the speed and explosive destruction of the show, while keeping the controls surprisingly approachable. Smashing an opponent through a mountain and watching the environment dynamically crumble adds so much weight to every combo. Getting slapped around by veterans online is inevitable, but snapping up a gorgeous, hyper-kinetic tag fighter for under $10 is entirely worth it just for the spectacle alone. Monster Hunter World turns tracking giant beasts through a living ecosystem into an obsession. The preparation phase of eating a massive meal, crafting traps, and picking the right oversized weapon feels just as important as the actual hunt. Learning a monster's attitude patterns until you can blind dodge a tail swipe provides an incredible sense of personal skill progression. It takes patience to learn the clunky menus, but securing this massive hunting sandbox for under $8 is easily one of the highest value propositions on Steam right now. Remnant II takes the brutal dodge-roll mechanics of a Souls-like and injects it with highly satisfying gunplay. Every campaign role randomly generates completely different worlds, bosses, and quest lines, meaning your friend's playthrough will look completely different from yours. Finding hidden archetypes by solving obscure environmental puzzles makes exploring feel incredibly rewarding. The story is largely forgettable nonsense, but picking up a heavily replayable build-crafting shooter for $12 guarantees excellent co-op sessions for weeks. No Man's Sky completely rebuilt its reputation on years of massive free updates. The ability to seamlessly lift off from a radioactive planet, break atmosphere, and land inside a massive player-owned freighter still feels like technical magic. Base building, alien language translation, and smuggling contraband create dozens of different ways to make a living in deep space. The UI can definitely feel unwieldy at times, but nabbing this continually expanding universe for $24 is an easy win for sci-fi fans. Elden Ring Nightreign introduces terrifying consequences to exploring the lands between after dark. The addition of new nocturnal hunting factions turns familiar legacy dungeons into incredibly tense stealth encounters. Attempting to navigate these pitch-black forests forces you to rely on entirely new lighting incantations and auditory cues to avoid getting ambushed. Dropping the price to $30 for a massive expansion that completely revitalizes the base game map is a very smart purchase for anyone looking to lose another 100 hours to From Software's brilliant Misery.
time of cleansing draws nigh.
Who now will save us from the coming darkness?
I've taken delivery preparing some entertainment for you. The entertainment. Without further ado, the gallant knight protects the princess fair.
I'll make it cheap for you.
Move!
She always like this with you?
How about you open fire instead of your mouth?